the waning gibbous, that moon represents us releasing, getting rid of things that no longer serves us. Because the way you could think of it is we're reaching this moon where it'll be the new moon. It's going to be the next like solid phase of the moon. The moon is the dark side, that new moon's the dark side you can't see. So that's how I like to think of it. It's like the shadow things that you need to work on. When we do circle back around to the full moon, we have all the energy to shine in our full beauty. That's how I like to think of it, at least. So yes, but like I was saying, with the Aquarius, air.
One of the astrologers who mentioned about what the air energy is more related to like communication, and so a lot of kind of brainstorming, kind of working with other people, kind of generating that kind of communication, talk, back to back, kind of feedback and whatnot. So communicating on like what's going on, maybe like when we're ending with the wayness, give us to where we kind of have an idea how things are ending, how things can change, and certain things like that.
We just did the full moon heart chakra with me, Itzel and I. And what we talked about was how your heart chakra is like a bridge, right? Because it's the chakra in the middle with your higher spiritual chakras. So your throat, your third eye, and your crown are like the higher level chakras. And then your lower level chakras are like more physical chakras. Your solar plexus, sacral, and your root chakra are below the heart, right? So that's why I like to think of the heart chakra as a bridge between the two. And what Itzel and I were talking about with that was how when you really can tune in to what your heart desires are, and then the tricky part is then being able to communicate it purely from your heart and not adding in like maybe worries or anxieties or fears or things you have that will kind of switch up what your heart desire is really saying to you and what you verbalize. So that's why I think it's interesting that with it, that was the talk we had last week or this Sunday, and now with this being the Aquarius air, being about communication, brainstorming, sounds like real collaborative from how you were describing it, collaborative, creative kind of thing. I would definitely think it would be a good time to talk about brainstorming strategies or having more of what you want in life. So if it is like around your health, which is ironic because I literally have a notebook sitting in front of me that I've been working on a wellness coaching workshop for that. And that was how it was set up, was one of the first things to do is to write down the things that you feel like are holding you back. And I really thought it was important to start with that because usually, I have this belief that, and I think it's a pretty common belief, we can't address things until we're aware of them. So, we can't improve. I think we even talk about it. We can't improve upon our health until we actually are aware of what one of the challenges are that are keeping us from our desired outcomes. And then once you could point those things out, you can make a strategy for yourself on how you're going to tackle them when they come up. So even it's so funny because I didn't do this because it was this moon or whatever, like I've just been working on allowing myself to be intuitively led. And so the other night I felt like I was seriously just making myself some tea for the night. And I felt compelled to clear off my kitchen table, get a notebook and pen, sit down and write all this stuff out. And what ended up coming out of me was that I have been really worried about my physical health. My mental, emotional, little bit, but more so my physical, because I haven't been working out the way I like to work out. We've been eating out a lot, and that's not like me to eat out a lot. And So that's also some things that kind of make me think about, okay, well, what's going on with my mental, emotional health to where I'm allowing myself to get out of habits that I enjoy and I know are good for me, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that I really needed to work on my discipline. I'm telling you, the notebook's right here because I did it. My discipline, my consistency, and my confidence, right? But yeah, those are the things that came to me. And then like, even from there, I even dug deeper into like, why these three things, you know, and like, I really tuned into the emotions around like, you know, because when I wrote those words down, feelings came out of me because it was triggering me coming face to face with what has been keeping me from my goals,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think any human has experienced that feeling of not really shame, some maybe shame, but like kind of disappointment, you know, where you realize like, dang, I have been the one in the way of me achieving these things that I want. And it does come with like, you know, some heavy emotions, some sadness, anger, or whatever, you know. And that's why I'm trying to explain how I think it's interesting that you're saying it's all about communication, because I do think in a way you also need to be able to communicate with yourself so that
Mm-hmm.
in a loving way though, you know, like I didn't write these things on the page and then be like, you're the lowest confident person I know. And you know, like you don't believe in yourself about anything. But what I did was I was honest. I feel I often doubt my capabilities when I have no reason to, and I require a lot of validation to be secure in what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I truly feel, you know. But seeing that, it's like, well, then I can ask myself, well, why do you doubt your capabilities? I doubt my capabilities because of things from my past that were told to me that I know aren't true, you know? So now that I know that, and I know that this is more so a negative story I've put on repeat from a past trauma, I can do something about it, you know? Now I can start to tackle those words when they come in my head, and that's actually the next step. Have an affirmation ready to combat those negative stories so that I can start speaking life back into myself. And ironically or coincidentally, I don't know, me feeling the intuition, however it worked out, I will be doing this as the moon is wanting away. So I'm wanting away all those things that I don't want, that aren't serving me, so that I can wax up, build up towards the version of me I'm manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. When you mentioned that air, you don't know how air relates to it. When you look at the book that you mentioned, you recommended me to look at in regards to
Which one, the chakra healing or the spiritual Reiki?
the chakra healing.
Okay.
In regards to the heart chakra, the element is air. And then when you're talking about the life lesson, it says to experience compassion and connection with oneself and others. So like on the point, on the dot, exactly what you just said, but more of your life experience from it.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I hate to say this, I haven't been studying as much as I would like to study, you know, but that has been a result of me choosing, I want to be more intuitively led. Like, yeah.
It's like you're saying these things and telling you as I look at the answers, like this is exactly what this is. Don't you love it when that happens?
Yes, that's divine. I feel like that's divine connection. So that makes me very to know. But then I think, you know, like when I hear communication, I can also say that during this time, like this whole building up to this moment, I'll say, I don't even know what the period of it has been. I have been feeling very down, and I've been feeling very down. And I have noticed I feel better when I communicate with loved ones how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's something that was always really hard for me as a child. Like, that's why I'm getting emotional now, was because when I would have to talk about it as a child, I'd get shut down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so I never got comfortable sharing how I felt, you know, because I had conditioned myself to understand, okay, when you say how you feel, it's going to come with a fight. you know? So if I was going to express myself, I had to be ready for the fight that was going to come with it.
Yeah.
And the last 2-3 weeks, maybe, I've been having this down feeling. When I've been able to express myself, I felt heard and accepted and loved and comforted. And it helped me to like go through whatever emotions I had to go through to feel better, you know? So I think that is also an important part of it. Communicating how you feel in a loving way. You know, like I think for me, the experience is showing me how just growing up, and you know me, I'm working towards ending generational curses and the toxic habits that have been passed on to us, you know, but that was one of the things I'm realizing was our emotions were weaponized growing up, you know, and I'm pretty sure my mom, my grandma, my great grandma, like I'm pretty sure that happened for a long time, because now knowing all I know, hearing different experiences, having my experiences, the NLP, everything, I can look at my family and tell we weaponize our words and our emotions, you know? And so to get back to the communication aspect of it, definitely paying attention to the communication that's going on around you too, you know, because then a balance I'm working on now is knowing when to remove myself when I can tell people aren't interested in communicating to me the way that feels good to me, you know, and I can't take it personal because I don't know for sure that they're doing it to hurt me. It could really be that they're doing it out of hurt for themselves, or they honestly don't know better, you know? So I had to make it to where I knew that this doesn't feel good to me. I've tried to share that with you. And now I think it's best for me to just remove myself, because maybe you need some space, but I definitely need some space, you know, to be okay right now. And so, I just think, and then the brainstorming part too. I've been brainstorming stuff for business, but also we've been brainstorming a lot of ways around the house to flow with purpose and flow with intent, all these things we really want to fill the house with. And it's been a lot of brainstorming and communicating that with my husband and the kids, you know, like having to explain to the kids, well, why do we have to bed on time, mom? You know, so that you get a good night's sleep and you're ready to wake up in the morning and do the things that we got to get done for the day. And you know, but those aren't easy conversations. Like you just saw the 4-year-old have a fit over fruit snacks, you know. So it's been a lot of, I think it's so interesting that that's what this moon is really all about, because that's definitely what's been echoing in my life, for sure.
When you mentioned that you were working on generation healing, I know that's like a running theme of our podcast, of our lives, a lot of things of that sense. But when I hear you talk, like you're already there, if that makes sense. Like a lot, you know, when we always try to have a goal, and then like the goal of manifestation, according to like Dr. Naza, all these different things, like be where you want to be, and then what. It's like interesting of how it's kind of aligning and then kind of not at the same time. I guess you're more in the middle. Is like when you say generation healing, want to stop the attack of emotional attacks and certain things like that. You're literally already there. Like when I hear it in the way you talk, and so and I love like the emotion from it, like because you're learning from that experience, like almost like you're saddling the middle for back and forth to kind of relate from the past, relate to now and the future. And just to let you know, just to reflect it back to you, like you're there. It's just that the realization of that and just continuing of that is just it's just, you know, I don't,
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it's a journey. I know exactly what you're saying, because that's how I feel. You know, I can tell I'm here, but I can also tell there is the hurt me who's here too, and she's like, fuck that shit. You know?
I'll be like scared away, like
I'm like, we don't deal with this, you know, like we don't F them. Like she's there. Yeah. And then there's the higher version of me who is like, we're better than this. We treat people treated. We don't treat them how they treat us. You know, the whole, they go low, we go high. That's the other version of me, you know. I have her playing too. And, but it's like you're saying, because Tiara is in the middle, present Tiara is in the middle, that's what I'm battling. You know, it's like a fight of, am I going to go back to this old comfortable way of living? You know, where I know I can fuck that bitch and this and this and that, and we can throw down and we can do what we got to do, you know, like, but there's also the current me who knows I didn't like that life. I didn't like the stress that came with that life. I didn't like feeling that way about people. I didn't like allowing my energy to be in that space. Like, I don't like that version of me. And then I also think that version of me gets upset, you know, that I no longer like that version of her, because she's the version of me who got me to this point, you know, that rough and tough and the walls up and all of that. She got me here.
Yeah.
And so, and I also think that that's what I see happen in life, you know. And it's interesting because I like to read through Facebook comments on certain groups around spirituality and things. And I feel like I have come full circle in a way from when I started this journey, because now, where I was the one receiving advice about what it looks like when you choose to shift your energy, you know, the energy around you kind of has to catch up in a way. So like your people, your circumstances, all that, they're used to that same energy you've been vibing on. So when you shift your energy, it comes with other shifts in your reality, and they're not always pleasant, you know?
It's like all of them is like fighting to like
not
be there, but be there at the same time. It's like what I find fascinating is, despite all the horrible things that we feel that happen to us, that brings emotion and all all these different aspects of it, is that for me personally, I wouldn't give up any of those horrible things that's happened, or regret any of those things that happened, because I had that happen and I chose to learn from that experience. Looking back at it, like, I'm grateful, even though it's horrible. I would never want anyone to feel those things or happen to those situations to happen to them or for them. But the thing is, like, things are happening for you to learn from it. It's just, are you gonna, when it comes around again, are you gonna do the same thing? Are you going to do the same habitual response to that? Or are you going to choose a different route, choose a different strategy to learn from the similar experiences, so you can be more evolved, more grateful for the past things that happened? And so it's not like you would hate it. You would be, you know, it's not like you're hating that your past experiences, but loving that it happened, that you learn from that lesson, that you're grateful that you learned those lessons at that time, so you don't repeat it when it comes back around, that you can actually have a different layer of learning when it comes back around again. So it's almost like, I was talking to you about it a while ago, because I felt like I was stuck in this circular cycle of things happening again, and I'm doing the same thing, things happening again, I'm doing the same thing. And then I realized it was more as of, it's like a spiral of learning versus the circle of learning.
I like that you spiral. I love that you said spiral, because I feel like we tend to think in very 2D. You know, we see in 3D, and then like if you, depending on where your energy relief and experiences, you start to hear about the 4D, 5D, you know. And so I think it's so interesting that you said it's not a circle, it's more of a spiral, because again, I think this is something we've talked about, like the new levels, new devils thing. But the principle of, like you're saying, you can learn the lesson, but you're always going to come right back around to it, because fundamentally, as a person, you have the shadow side, you know. You have the side of you that is challenged by certain things. You have the side of you that doesn't always like to be nice. You have the side of you that, you know, may not like everybody all the time. And that's okay. It's just who you are. And it's part of what makes you such a beautiful person. But because we tend to think things in so 2D flat, you know, circle, absolutely right. It is more like a spiral, because as you choose each lesson to advance, become better, you're kind of building yourself up and up and up. You're not just going around and around in a circle. You're either coming to the next level, like of a building, and you're deciding, okay, am I going to take the flight of stairs up, or I'm going to hop on the elevator, go back down, because that's what feels good right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I love that you said circle, because I do think we forget that we never quite arrive, you know?
But that's like the best part of it is like we keep on going.
Yeah.
What happens, like the cycles, everything comes in cycles, right? Cycles of the moon, cycles of the season, cycles of the year. It feels like when you look at a calendar, it's very linear, but in reality, it's not like it's not linear at all. It's just like, so winter's gonna come around again. Like, what are you gonna do this winter? It's not like you're gonna do the exact same thing. It's gonna be changing depending on what's going on, and then like different seasons. And
I have the perfect analogy for this. You're gonna love it. Gardening.
mm-hmm.
Every year, you know the best time of year to plant your stuff. You know, like, you know, okay, we're probably done with the last of the cold. This is a great time to plant some of my seeds. And then not only are you aware of the time because of previous things or research or whatever you did to understand that this is a good time, but now you have your experiences from the previous harvests and things to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last year when I did this, I used this kind of soil, and all my seedlings dampened off, you know, before I could even transplant them, you know. And so you have to understand that when you're planting your seed, there's a time of year to plant your seed, and then the rest of the year you are caring for those seeds you planted, and then you're doing whatever you got to do to get them to the harvest, and then you're harvesting, and that's like the fall, and then you're enjoying your harvest in the fall, and in the winter you're kind of sitting back and doing nothing, because there's really not much to do in the winter in terms of gardening except for prep for the upcoming new seeds. And I like that gardening analogy, because I feel like that's what it's like when we are going through our wellness journey, because you get this new concept, of I can improve on this area. And then you kind of have to do your research on what that really looks like, not only in general, but really for you, because where people may be giving certain advice that doesn't fit what feels good to you, you're going to have to do some tweaks and things, or you're going to have to experiment so that you really understand how to get how this up leveling is going to feel, how to make the uncomfortable feel good to you. I don't know how to say it, because you're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I feel like there's uncomfortable and then there's torture, like, and you shouldn't feel like you're torturing yourself. Yeah, you shouldn't feel like you're torturing yourself. It should definitely be a challenge. But I know a good rule of thumb for me is when it is aligned to, who I am and what my desired outcome really is, it'll feel really challenging for a short while. And then right when I'm ready to give up, throw in the towel, that's when all of a sudden, then it feels like a miracle, because then all of a sudden it's in my face, and it's right at that moment where I was ready to be like, not doing this anymore. It's not worth it. Never mind. But it's like that's what I've learned. If there are nights and nights and nights where I've been trying this thing and it doesn't work, and it's bringing me to tears of frustration, trying and trying and trying, then maybe that thing isn't for me. If I'm not feeling any better going into this new whatever I'm trying to help me feel better, then those are the kind of things, and that's another thing where I feel like communication is really helpful, because sometimes you may miss the cues and signs because you're just so far into your emotions and your feelings, and you may need a loved one to point it out.
Go into the focus. You need to kind of go out of focus or 30,000 foot above to see exactly what's going on, kind of relate to see like who I'm doing pros and cons, like for like gardening, right? Like I don't have the best like green thumb, supposedly, if you want to call it, for a lot of things. I'll share with you a little bit, Tia, about the gift you gave me. But so it's definitely, you know, the beginning process for me, for plants, everything dies, right? So how horrible is it for someone who really wants to have, like, you know, a garden, all these different things, that when you start out, you don't know how the soil is, you don't know how to pH, how to find it out, how to make sure the good sunlight, how to make sure, you know, the good location in the house, out of the house. All these different things are so difficult, right? Unless you have a guiding person to help you, you know, some book or someone to see exactly. Even I was watching someone do something called like the food forest. That's my ideal like thing. I was like have always like a forest of food, but even him would go to the local like city area of the farmer and ask him, like, for this location, this land, what's best, despite, you know, he's from out of town, farther away from the other side of the nation. He would ask a local farmer to know exactly what grows well in that area. Then you, versus trying to figure out, oh, let's you know, because this is supposedly temperate weather, blah blah. It doesn't always work out. But the local farmer grows things there all the time for years and years and years. So you ask a person who's more knowledgeable and see what works best for you. And so a lot of times, like, if you are struggling, maybe it's time to ask someone else, maybe it's time to switch it up, maybe it's just time to take a break, to look back to see what's exactly going on. Is it wrong location? Is it, you know, different sunlight, blah blah, all these different things change, right? Even weather changes. And so that's what I learned so far in my very novice beginning of gardening. Still working on it. Not giving up.
I love that. Yeah, and then, but that's a good point too, not giving up. And you know what? Succulents are a really good lesson for that, I'm coming to find. So I don't know if I should use this. I'm gonna do both. So for seeds, right? I'm trying really hard to grow these succulents from seeds, and which is crazy that I'm trying so hard, and I have to remind myself over and over again, Mother Nature knows how to take care of itself. You know, and I think that's also the lesson that planting succulents from seeds has taught me, is that deep down, I know how to take care of myself. And like how you're saying, there's the pH level of the soil, how much light it's getting. Is it time to fertilize? Is it not time to fertilize? Do we need to use some fungicide, insecticide? You know, like all the different things, that what type of fertilizer, like just all the different things that can go into the plant. And then, but really, you don't have to do much, you know. Like, let me go back to what I was saying. There are all these different things you can do, right? And like when you go on to gardening blogs or you pick up a gardening magazine, there's all this information being thrown at you, this how to take care of your precious plant baby. And it's the same way with how to take care of ourselves. There's all this information being thrown at us about, you know, you got to eat like this, you got to exercise like this, you got to drink this much water. And then the last 5-7 years, it really got big to think about your mental and emotional health. And so like then that was thrown into it while we also started changing what our diet should look like. And, you know, like just all this stuff about how to take care of us really started to not only expand, but kind of get a little confusing, you know. Then all these different diets started coming out. And it reminds me a lot of taking care of these succulents. Deep down, Mother Nature knows how to take care of itself. Even though I may have messed up the way the soil is, well, actually, even though I did mess up the soil badly, guys, like badly, to the point to where when I went to water them, I'm supposed to water from the bottom. I stick it in the thing to water it. And this isn't supposed to happen. Water floods the whole container I have these things in. Mind you, succulent seeds look like specks of dust. I am not exaggerating. They're tinier, like on the package, it says tinier than needlepoint. Like, so some succulent seeds literally look like specks of dust. And just a smooth FYI, if you're thinking of ordering succulent seeds, make sure it's a reputable buyer, because people will sell you dust online because these things are so tiny. It's like, it's just how it is. And so, girl, I'm telling you, I put the thing in there, the water floods to the top. I'm looking at little succulent seeds floating all around the water. So I'm like, well, if there were any hope for them surviving my horrible soil, that's all gone, because I just saw the seeds wash to the top. Right? There are 2 precious succulent babies who survived all of that. And so my point is, we can really overthink what care looks like. And I've learned this from plants, you know, like I'm thinking that I'm the reason why my plants are thriving. No, all I really could do was give my plants the basic conditions to thrive. You know, I gave them the amount of sun they need, the amount of water they need, the type of soil they best like, and they do their thing, you know, and then they tell me if they're happy or not. But how it happens is communication. I look at their leaves, I look at their soil, I look at the colors. Is it crispy? Is it mushy? You know, there's different ways my plants will communicate with me to tell me I need this, I need that. And that is something I've really enjoyed relating the succulents to myself, because if I really pay attention to me, we kind of talked about this on the last episode, my house is a big indicator for me of where my wellness is, you know, but that's me. And so I really have found myself trying to encourage people to understand, well, what does good look and feel like for you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then once you know that, you can have your indicators. You can have, now you're communicating with yourself. And it's like how you said, when you were saying how plants interact with their environment. You know, if a person walks through a trail enough, the plants get used to their energy. And if the plant senses that they need a specific mushroom, then the little mushroom pops up. Like, wasn't that you that was telling me that?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Right. And I feel like our home environments are like that too. We just kind of forget that it can be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, so that's another thing I just want to throw in there about communication, because I get it. It's not always easy to communicate with a loved one. Sometimes you feel really isolated, and it is even hard to communicate how you're feeling just to, in general, you know. I have someone in my life where I can tell something's wrong before they can. And even in me saying, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? You know, they'll constantly, nothing. I'm good. What are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And it'll usually be about 2 weeks later. Then they'll come out and they'll, like the word vomit it all. And then they'll say, and the whole time when you were asking me, I really wasn't thinking anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it takes everyone a little bit more time to really be able to grapple with their emotions and be able to communicate them. And not everybody can look at their house and say, oh, it's a mess, so that must mean something's going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may just be someone who it's less stressful for you to keep a messy house than it is to keep a clean house. Mm-hmm. So you have to really understand what are your thriving environments, you know, like what does well look and feel like to you? Mm-hmm. And then I think too, the biggest piece of it all, and this definitely comes down to communication, is being unafraid to stand in that.
Yeah, even though it's uncomfortable trying to figure that out.
Not only is it scary trying to figure it out, but I personally feel like it's even scarier to stand in it, especially when for so long you've been living a different way. Yeah. Because then now you're faced with all these judgments. Mm-hmm. You know, like, well, why did you decide to do that? Like, oh, so now you're too good for this. And, you know, like, oh, so now you're better than me, or, you know, whatever. And really, it's like, no, like none of those things. What the difference is now I understand there's a better way to care for myself, and caring for myself is really important. And so even with this part, I feel that it's another communication thing, because it's funny, something that's been going around my circle a lot lately is how people will tend to know that they have characteristics that rub people the wrong way. And their attitude about it is, well, I don't care. They're just going to have to deal with it, because that's who I am. So they're just going to have to deal with it. And that's fine. That's fine, boo. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And that's your truth. But the thing about that is then you also have to be okay with people not liking you over it,
Because you chose to be that way.
Because you chose that. You chose to hear, I don't like when you do this to me. It agitates me. And your response to that was, well, I'm going to do it anyway because that's who I am. So now you have to be okay with, well, if they decide, well, I don't like that, so I'm not going to talk to you. Mm-hmm. That's your truth and that's their truth. And both are true. Yeah. So that's why I said that what comes with really being able to stand in what feels good to you is being unafraid, because that's what's going to come with it. It's not always going to rub people the right way. Some people are really going to be triggered by you choosing to choose yourself, because it may reflect back to them like inadequacies in themselves, things that they've been struggling with. They may get a little jealous. Well, how come she's able to do that and I'm not? Like, you just never know how you deciding to stand in your truth is going to impact the people around you. And sometimes you may not be liked for it. And in that case, like, if you truly are doing it as a thing that, it's not meant to hurt anybody, it really is meant to heal yourself, do well for yourself, and you've really looked at it from all angles, and in your heart, you're not doing any harm to anyone intentionally. And if someone's expressed harm, you've done your part to know, like, hey, I'm only coming in love, then you have to be okay with not being liked in that situation.
Yeah, like what's going on in regards to like the truth that's coming out in regards to health, in regards to the medication, all these different things that, that this whole year that people are in different spectrums of their how do you say it, advocacy in a sense. It's like knowing where you are and being okay with not being liked, that the truth, right? In that sense, because I find that's what it seems like when you're talking about that. But the thing is, that you stand there for your truth, knowing that other people may not like it, yet you're not doing any harm, because your truth is where it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying go out and agitate people and saying this is my truth. Does it piss you off? I'm not saying that at all.
Because I know, remember when I was younger, when I was like early 20-ish or whatever it was, I was that person. Was like, I don't care what people say. I'm going to do my thing. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's like a thing that you do in the early 20s, like, I don't know, like late teens. Like, I don't care. I'm myself. And then that's from that point is where I got the hurt, got all the attacks, all these different things. But that's where I learned, literally, from being this person is what shaped me to be the person I am now, knowing that if I were that person, continuing to be that person wherever comes my way, this is the things that'll happen to towards me, because I chose to be in this kind of attitude, this kind of non-caring, blah blah, all these different things. I chose to be like that, but at that time when I was doing it, I didn't think that I was going to get a lashback or backlash or all these different things towards me. But when I knew that I was going to happen, I try to think about, be aware, like, what can I do to make less of that? Am I doing it in truth? Am I doing it in honesty? Am I not trying not to hurt people? And partially, I do want to say that a little bit of it, sometimes I did want to kind of hurt them back, because the way I was hurt in a sense, honestly, because I mean, people, it happens, right? But now I'm thinking, learning from that, that's not the best way to go about life. Because it's not the best for everyone, right? And so that's the reason why I am the way I am. Even when you're talking about like going back to the growing of the seeds and whatnot too, when we have nature is like amazing. When we have the best environment, what we need, like growth happens, creation happens, babies happen. And when you're trying to make this work, the thing is, like, when someone says, you can't depend your health on like how you look and how you feel, and that's it, I feel like that's false, right? That's part of the story. Yes, you can't depend on how you look and how good you feel from it, but also knowing that the markers, all these different things around you reflects the same thing together, versus yes, I think I look good and feel good, but my markers are really low. Like they're not, in that optimal rate, because it needs that balance. It needs to take basically all these different things that's around us to make sure that we are reflecting our environment and the environment reflecting back towards us versus, lopsided seesaw.
Lopsided seesaw.
Which is a seesaw is lopsided. I don't know why I said that.
Sorry.
I come up when you're just talking. It's just like
I know, it just tickled me. But yeah. And I think you also drive a really good point home if we're gonna, the last point I would like to make about communication is when it does get to be challenging, when you are toe to toe with someone who is challenging who's challenging your truth. Let's just say that simply, who's challenging your truth. I have been in situations where simply communicating my intentions and doing so, sometimes I have to be the person who's like, I'm not going to take this personal. This is an opportunity for us to see each other's perspectives. We do not have to fight because we're disagreeing. Like sometimes I do feel I have to really be the one who's holding that energy of, like this is a safe place for us to have a disagreement. I have found that is also very beautiful in your wellness journey, being able to practice communicating differences with someone who is willing to listen. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing, if someone has their mind fixed on something, you usually can't change someone's mind. But if they're an open-minded person and you can tell from the conversation that they are trying to listen, I would really encourage, even when it's not comfortable, to kind of keep pushing and sharing how you feel and your perspectives and things, because you may say something to somebody that helps them expand their perspective, and that may help them in their journey, and they may say something to you that does the same. And so I truly get that. Sometimes it's not always comfortable. Sometimes it's a really tense, awkward conversation. But those are really the most satisfying to me, when we're in this like kind of a grapple with it. Like I call it toe to toe, because it's like, I don't want to back down. You don't want to back down. But it doesn't mean we have to fight. Like we can still talk. And so, but communication, so the best advice I can give around communication is, if you feel communication is hard for you, there are all kinds of classes, books, activities, workshops you can do. For me personally, NLP was a game changer, because NLP not only helped me understand how I talk to myself and the negative stories that played in my head, it helped me to understand what people were really saying, like the read between the lines kind of thing, so that I could ask questions to gain clarity and help us get to a deeper understanding. And then that's, you guys have heard me talk about it, the 3 perspectives, the hero, the villain, and the victim. That has helped me to overcome so many challenging situations, so if you really feel like communication is something that just has been a struggle with you for your whole life, I would be willing to sit with somebody and help them come up with resources, because I feel like communication is one of those things where it's so necessary. Like you cannot get around at least being able to communicate how you feel about something. And you guys know how I am with religion, but I can't help but quote the Bible or go back to the Bible, because that's just in me. But in the Bible, there's a story of Moses. A lot of people have heard the story of Moses through The Prince of Egypt, which is a really beautiful movie, beautifully illustrated, beautiful music, just all of it. They did the story justice. But the thing that they changed in The Prince of Egypt was that when Moses went to lead the people, so I don't know if you know, but Moses was this guy that God called through a burning bush caught on fire. The bush told Moses he was God and that he needed to go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. So Pharaoh had all these Jews slaved. Are they Jews? I don't think they're Jews. Israelites. Pretty sure they're Israelites. Don't quote me, guys. Don't quote me. But Moses was the one God chose to say, let my people go. Now, in the movie, Moses was the one. Pharaoh, let my people go. Pharaoh, God said this. Pharaoh, blah, blah, blah. Like Moses was the one talking to Pharaoh. In the Bible, Moses had a speech impediment and was afraid to speak. So in the Bible, when God told Moses he had to go tell Pharaoh to let his people go, Moses said, God, I can't talk to Pharaoh. Like I can't talk to Pharaoh. He's not going to listen to me. I stutter. I can barely speak. And so what happened was Moses's brother-in-law, Aaron, came with him. Or Moses' brother. I'm sorry, it's his brother. They didn't know they were brothers because Moses got put in a basket when he was a baby and grew up like a prince. That's why it's called the Prince of Egypt. So it's a really great story. If you haven't seen the movie, at least watch the movie, Kate. But so he now knows this is his brother, and his brother grew up a slave because Moses technically should have been a slave, but he should have been killed actually, but he was put in the basket to save his life. So now, so many years later, when he has to go meet Pharaoh, and he's like, God, I can't talk to Pharaoh because I have a speech impediment. His brother Aaron was his communicator for him. So because Moses felt comfortable enough to let Aaron hear his speech impediment and everything, Moses would tell Aaron in the Bible what God had to say. Aaron would deliver the message to Pharaoh. So I say all of that to say, because communication is so needed, like if Moses hadn't found a way to find someone to help him communicate, the slaves may have never gotten set free. So if you really feel communication is just one of those things, like you feel like you either are always arguing with people whenever you try to express yourself, or you feel like people just don't listen, or you're misunderstood all the time, or you feel like you just have like really big things you're trying to express and you can't wrap your words around them, I definitely want to make the offer to reach out, and we can help you. When I say we, I mean me. I don't know if Kate will be there or not, but I will definitely help you. Yeah, I just don't. Kate's busy. I'm busy. Our schedules barely ever meet, so we'll both try to be there. But definitely, I know for me, communication is one of those. Like I have a soft spot in my heart for communication, because I've seen it destroy families and I've seen it heal families. And so I understand how great of a tool it is. And if I can help somebody at least understand how to identify communication modalities that feel good to them, I'm here for it.